of sorts. Somewhat scattered. I'm not sure what I got going on here. Okay, so I didn't record yesterday. Just was not in the mood. And that seems to be a pretty big deal for me right now. Being in the mood. I do feel like I'm right at a very critical and pivotal point in my life, and having a lot of fluctuation, a lot of up and down, and some pretty extreme mood swings. Whereas before, I've had them, and they were more gradual and long in between, but now it seems like every day, every couple of days, I'm hitting a high or I'm hitting a low, and those lows are devastating. And yesterday was one of those days again, and I know I just had one in my mind. I don't know how far back it was, but it was recently, within the last week, 2 weeks. I was just ready to be done with everything, just tired. It's definitely affecting my mood because, how I am around other people, my temper, and my tolerance and my patience. So I know I'm very difficult to be with or around when I'm in that type of mood, and it's making my work life strained because it's causing tension with the people that are around me, and it's creating a very unhappy environment for me. For months now, I've really just been tired of property management and the things that you have to deal with. Mostly ignorance. I talk about it all the time. It's because it's on my mind all the time. You deal with a lot of ignorance in this business. People that just don't understand what they've gotten themselves involved in, or the dynamic of wasn't really doing me any good. I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a nice bit of distraction, but it didn't have the effect that I was hoping for. So I was like, well, I've got time. I was only there for about 40 minutes. And I'm just going to go home and try and get a quick workout and just continue doing what I'm doing. And went home and the workout was good. I got that rush that I was hoping for, where I feel like I've kind of gotten past that hurdle. I've been doing the detox tea every morning at work. I feel like I've kind of flushed my system out. I don't feel as bogged down. I feel like now when I get into my exercise state of mind and I start lifting or start running or on an elliptical or punching the bag or whatever, that I loosen up quick, my heart rate increases, and I feel clear. I feel good about it. There's a rush. It's exciting. It's invigorating, and it feels good. Whereas the first couple of days make me really pretty much sick to my stomach the whole time, and it's a very unpleasant experience. But it's necessary. It's that first step. You got to get past that, and I was happy to be past that, but I just felt like I was in rocket launch mode by the time I was done. Even though I pushed myself to fatigue, I was physically exhausted, but my body was still, had this rush going, and I was like, all right, now what do I do? And I still wasn't in the mood. I did not want to process recordings. I didn't want to record anything. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to read about it. I didn't want to work on anything that had anything to do with moving forward, because I just wasn't sure where that forward is going to be. Concerning to me, because I feel like I'm losing my grasp on reality sometimes. But anyway, what I felt this, in the last 24, 36 hours is loss. I feel like my goals, my aspirations are unclear. I mean, I can see them. I can see what I had set out, and I can see when I'm clear and I'm focused and I know exactly what I want to do and what I think I'm here for and what that's supposed to mean and the way to get there. Everything's clear. But in days like yesterday, it's like looking at a cloudy dream. It's like looking at a fuzzy picture and seeing it, but just not understanding what is going on. There's just no understanding. There's no connection. And it's during those times where I'm just like, I just can't fucking do this anymore. I don't know where to go, what to do. So yesterday was one of those days. It was a lost day. I had a good day at the gun range. I was shooting very straight. I even bumped up my distance up to 55 feet and was hitting what I was trying to hit, and was groupings of 3-4 inches, and I felt good about it. It was reassuring. It was refreshing, and again, invigorating, exciting. I got home. I did a quick workout. No, it wasn't that quick. It was half hour, 40 minutes, and it was a step up from what I've been doing. I did harder arms and shoulders than I had in the previous couple of days, and was bumping myself back up to not the most weight that I've ever done, but I was getting up there. I was in the top 75% of what I've been able to do in the past, and it felt good. But I couldn't find any connection to anything, and I couldn't find that peace that I was looking for. And again, it just left me with this extremely empty, detached feeling of, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. How am I gonna? What I want to do is I want to have an impact. I want to make a difference. But I don't know. And today I feel more clear. I feel better about everything. It's this one. Let's see. And it worked. And what is, odd, because I've had some odd fluctuations over the last 4 or 5 days. I started taking those supplements. I started exercising again, which is good. I've got my garage cleaned up. I'm trying to get back on this balanced cycle of doing things that are creative, doing some things that are physical, doing things that are geared towards from a business aspect. And I feel like I've been very successful in finding that balance and doing all of those things that I feel are important to me. And we signed up for this clearing event. It's kind of like a guided meditative state with Joe Vitale. I've been following him on Twitter for a while. I was familiar with his work just vaguely because I've seen him in a few things. This one right here, I think. And I've really deep inside felt that was one of my problems. That was one of the issues that I was suffering from. Was I had these blocks, these self-imposed blocks, which served a purpose, allowing me to get to where I am this far in life. They were restrictive I don't even know how to term them. Just, it's like using capacitors and electronics to control the direction of energy flow. Very similar, just kind of in a non-physical sense, kind of hardwired into your programming to help guide you to where you need to go. And then as you get there, you can remove those, become aware of achieving whatever status you were meant to achieve, and remove a block that helped get you there, something that diverted you down that path. And I've felt now for months that I've really gotten to that point in my life, and a lot of the blocks that I've used, these kind of safety defaults that helped me maintain my balance and keep me from self-destructing somewhere along the way, are no longer necessary, and they're now just holding me back from taking that next step. And I felt like, I'm just having difficulty clearing these. So I'm thinking, I see this thing pops up, and I haven't seen it before. Obviously he's done it before. but I got this promo. I'm like, hey, timing, synchronicity. This is something I probably should look into. Spent the money to do it, signed up for it, registered, and did it. And it was a relaxing situation. I don't know that I felt anything. There's times in my life where I just feel really moved by something, and I didn't necessarily feel that, and it could be more subtle than that. And I was fine with that, but I did feel relaxed, and I did feel like I got a good night's sleep, which the previous couple of nights I had not, and last night again I did not. I was very kind of unsettled, and that was just carried from the whole day into my overnight. But I felt that it was just odd that I was able to kind of feel that sense of relaxation and take a step towards clearing some of these blocks that I had set up for myself, and then yesterday being such a lost day, and just not wanting to play the game anymore. And that's really where I was at. Come yesterday afternoon, I was just done. And getting into today, I was like, all right, well, get up, get out of bed, analyze, assess where I was yesterday, what happened, how it happened, what can I do today, where am I going today, trying to keep a positive state of mind and keep myself on track. And I actually felt pretty good getting up this morning. I felt much clearer than I did yesterday, and much more relaxed, much more at ease. I would not say that I am in a state of peace, which is very rare that I ever get to, but I definitely feel better. But I'm reading the news, and I do every day, and there's a lot of things that are going on that I see and I understand in a certain aspect, and there's two different ways of for me seeing these. One, that it's purely observational. I just need to observe and let things unfold the way they are. And two is I have the power to make changes. I have the power to make a difference. And this is where I've struggled in the last several months to a year, is how much will do I want to apply towards making these changes, because I know I can. It's not a question of that, and there's no doubt. It's should I, and that's where I'm at. How much? It's much like the weather manipulation, getting into the wedding. I could do it. I could do it all the time. Do I need to? Should I? What's the benefit from it? Who benefits from it? And what's the cost? Is there a cost? And that's where I'm at right now. I feel like on days like today, I feel like I really should make a difference. And then I start seeing the way the history of humanity has evolved, and I see the way it's been manipulated at certain points by certain individuals, and I see the result, and I understand the methods, and I understand the processes. It's just something, again, that I see that I can't really explain, and it brings back, right back around to me, choice. What choices do I want to make? Which methods do I want to seek out? And there's a large part of me that feels like some of those methods, just the general approach wasn't as effective as it could have been, because you got to pick and choose. There's perceptions and perspectives out there that you have to deal with, and what is going to be the path of least resistance? What route is going to allow you to have the most impact, hopefully positive impact, with the least amount of negative pushback and resistance from unevolved minds? There's no other way to put it. There's just there's a large percentage of individuals existing on this planet right now that are lower on that scale. They don't have the capacity to understand, to see, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what this reality was built for. It was built to evolve. It was built to experience, and there's got to be those different levels. There has to be that separation of consciousness, from a lower or lesser evolved state to the highest state, and it's the responsibility of those higher evolved states to watch over the lesser evolved states. It's much like parenting, and again, we generate our reality mimicking what created ours. So, if you have sex and generate a offspring, have a child, and you raise them, you have an obligation to protect them, teach them, guide them along the way, because you're smarter, you're more evolved than they are at a certain point, and there's a point where they could surpass you depending on your situation, and that happens. Just that's whatever. There's all kinds of life arrangements out there, life agreements, and collaborations between different entities, and that's the nature of our reality. But again, it just comes back to, I'm just not sure which direction I want to take this and how. But today is one of those days where I'm feeling like I'm just going to do it my way, but I'm going to do it my way in a way that other people have done it, if that makes any sense. I know it's cryptic, it doesn't mesh together. If you could see what I see, it would make sense. My difficulty, and part of the difficulty that I've had the last couple of days, is a lack of being able to relate with somebody else, because I've seen a lot of evolved individuals. I've seen a lot of very intelligent individuals, not in person, but we have TV, we have radio, we have the internet, we have whatever, books, and I still have yet to find someone that sees things the same way that I see it. So it's going to come down to that particular difference in individuality that's going to allow me to do it differently. But there's a certain pattern, and that's more of a generality, a certain pattern that that needs, well, not needs to, I have a choice. I can create a whole new pattern, but there's a certain pattern that's already established that has worked. And this morning I've had a really strong drive to follow this particular pattern, and that pattern is find as many people as I can that I can relate to on the closest level that is possible, and I don't know even how close that is possible. And then through our interactions, start to, I don't know if enforce is the right word, probably as good a word as any, a certain idea, concept, philosophy, belief into this existence to manipulate where it's going. And it's the closest thing I can think of is all these secret societies that have been created throughout time. Some that we've probably heard of, and probably a lot, probably more successful ones that we've never heard of. more of a backdoor manipulative approach to enforcing change. And I keep getting drawn back into that word, and I don't know why that word keeps attaching itself to this. But enforcing, when I say it, I think of something, I visualize something that doesn't necessarily match what I'm thinking in my mind, but it's the only word that keeps coming up. And I always am fascinated by the way our language is deficient on such a level that it can't relay, thought, convey thought through, not in the actual intent, but there's a certain power, there's a certain code associated with words that once they've been verbally pronounced, there's an energy there that is unseen, and there's a correlation that I can't put my finger on. So I don't know how and why, but enforce is the one word that keeps coming up when I think about this process. Even though it doesn't necessarily, when you look up the word enforce and you try to fit it into a sentence, it doesn't match with what I'm trying to say. Anyway, not important. So I guess what it comes down to is I've really felt like I've been isolated. I've been restricted and alone, really, for my whole life, because I've lived my whole life like this. I've lived my whole life in this state of being able to see something around me that nobody else sees. And I'm 46 years old, and I've been looking. I've had my eyes open, and maybe I've been wearing blinders again, maybe one of those self-induced blocks. But I've yet to find anybody that I can share this deepest part of this with, that's going to understand it. Even these recordings is a vague, very minimalistic attempt to try and take the smallest part of what I see and pass it along to somebody else in hopes that it'll benefit them. And I feel like there's something in all of this that I've created that anybody can benefit from. There's even on the lowest level, even if it's just listening to the tone of my voice and the words that have been used, even on a subconscious level, it's gonna convey something. There's gonna be an impact of to some extent, but just maybe not to the extent that would like to. And there's going to be, again, higher evolutions of souls that will get more from it. But I just have yet to come across anybody or even hear about anybody, and because those individuals, I think, keep to themselves, and I think it's difficult. I think coming in as human and coming in, you are detached from a lot of that, and you're just taking a certain amount of faith in with you that you will regain some, hopefully all of what you were trying to bring in with you. And it's very easy to get distracted and lost along the way, and I can't imagine how many souls such as myself came into this with the highest intentions and just got lost in the mix somewhere along the way, because it just didn't catch up. They never made that connection, never really found themselves in here, because it's distracting. There's a lot of things to experience. There's a lot of factors that play into that, and I think it's that even some have probably even just blocked it out at some point and said, all right, well, my belief system doesn't allow for that, and by default it just is removed from the realm of possibility in their existence. And they're living day-to-day lives as bartenders, accountants, police officers, attorneys, whatever, and have lost that that ability to connect with themselves. And I don't know if what I'm doing has the ability to unlock that or not. And those are some of the theories that I really kind of struggle with in my mind. I know that anything's possible, but you're dealing with free will, and you're dealing with basically chaos. Once you enter in, chaos theory takes over. Anything can happen, and you really don't have any control over it. To a certain extent you do, but you don't. And semantics, again, not something I'm going to argue out right now, but bottom line is, today I feel, and maybe it's the supplements and the increased testosterone, maybe it is increased adrenaline and other natural chemicals being released in my body because of that I'm exercising more, I'm getting more physical. But I really today want to establish some connections with individuals, similar individuals, and set out on a adventure / mission to make a difference. And again, that word, enforce an ideal, the highest level that I see this, and these words fail to really convey the extent of this concept. But honor, pride, integrity, nobility, that is a sense of being. It is in its purest sense that we've lost in humanity. We've lost that connection with those things. And I wrote a piece about the Renaissance recently and how this is a rebirth. We're in that state now, another Renaissance, and how important the arts are and the creative process. But when I think of the Renaissance, when I hear the Renaissance, not only do I think of the arts and the sciences and a tremendous growth and leap in the abilities of humanity, I think nobility. I don't know why I associate that with, but that's what I think and I feel, and that's something else that needs to be carried through. And I see the political state worldwide now, especially in this country, and I see our elected leader, and I don't see any of these qualities. I don't see pride, integrity, honesty, and nobility. I see pandering for power. I see excuses. I see low character as what I see, and it's reflective of, that's how the election happened. It's reflective of the society. It was, again, not voted in by the majority vote because we have the Electoral College, which I'm not even going to get into all that. But he was able to manipulate the system and manipulate and feed on. That's the mass ideal right now. He is reflective of the people that elected him because that's the mindset. And it's not trying to achieve a higher purpose. It's about self-gratification and indulging in anger. And it can be fixed, it can be altered, but it's going to take a tremendous amount of influence. And but I see that as my goal. I see that as my drive. I see that as my future, my possibility, if the road doesn't kill me along the way. I'm going to leave off at that.